Well, have you gotten much of the neural out there?
Quite a bit. Getting some good feedback too. Really good
Yeah,
feedback.
that's what I'm getting.
Yeah. All right. I'm admitting everybody. We're gonna crank this up.
Okay.
All right. Welcome everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome to our Thursday night call with Numi's founder, Stephen K. Scott. So we got about 60 more seconds or so, 60 more seconds to invite everybody that you're connected with. So make sure you continue doing so for the next 60 seconds. Let's get those invites out and let's get it started. Yes, all right, all right, all right. Welcome once again. Make sure you type it in the chat where everybody is dialing in from tonight. I know we got quite an array of attendance. We got folks coming in from Nigeria, Indonesia, Louisiana. Looks like we got more Indonesia. We got Canada, Colorado. Greetings from the basically the entire world, 6 continents for sure. So welcome everyone. Tonight is the night that our founder digs or dives deep into the technology, the hydrostat molecular encapsulation technology. It's really my favorite call of the week. But you know, it is in English, and so just because we do have a wide array, a wide audience, a different language and what have you, we're going to enable captions. So to see how that's going to work, go ahead and take a listen to this.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español, es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción Subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Numi. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
All right, so we're not going to delay too much further. Just want to introduce myself real quick. Keith Chasson. Jamie and I have been with Numi since 2022, April, day before Easter. And, you know, we got excited about what Stephen Scott and Numi community was bringing to the marketplace in the form of this molecular encapsulated nanotechnology that today I've learned from a personal testimonial and from so many other people what an impact it's making in the wellness of the global community. And I couldn't thank Numi and I can't thank Stephen Scott enough for investing the time, the money, and his talent into bringing this to the world. So with no further ado, my friend, Stephen Scott.
Thank you, Keith. And it's great to be back. We had quite a trip. Keith knows all about it because he had people in his organization in France. We were Ryan and I went to Lyon, France. We went to Budapest, Hungary, and had about 800 people in a room. And we had our last was a leadership meeting in Amsterdam. And everywhere we go, it's always the same. People are absolutely blown away by what they've seen with our technology, with our products. And what they've seen can't be equaled. I just heard a new testimony, Keith, this week, and it was a lady that I won't say who it was, but she was in really, really, really bad shape. In fact, when I heard about her experience, it broke my heart. And she said, then she started swishing, and within just right away, within hours, her issues faded. It doesn't mean she was cured of anything, because we're not a drug. We don't cure, prevent, diagnose, or treat any disease state. But the issue had been devastating to her, and for many years, and it was gone. And that was 2 years ago. And she hasn't had a problem with it since. And I have people in my life that are personal friends and have been personal friends for many, many years, decades. 2 of them going clear back to high school. And one was a Marine Corps aviator, and his wife, and we were best friends when we were in high school, and when we both went into Air Force ROTC and so on. And just amazing. And his wife sent me some pictures that blew me away. And then she makes this comment. She says, I've got to tell you something about this neural product. I said, what do you have to tell me? She said, it wakes up your brain. Now, she is older than me. I'm 76. I think Jan is probably 78. She might be 77. And she said, it wakes up your brain. It's unbelievable. I don't want to go a day without it. It changes how I go through my day instantly. And she said, the only problem that I have, and I don't know if you've heard of anybody else having this problem, she said, I had forgot some things about my childhood. Memories I never wanted to have again from when I was very, very, very young. And she said, they all came back. Now that tells you something. That says we're probably impacting. We don't have any statistics on this, but usually to get to those recessed memories, you're talking about going into the limbic area of the brain, which is where all of your memories, you never forget what you've seen. You never forget what you've heard. It's all stored. And you say, how can the brain store that much? Well, your brain has the storage capacity of 2,500 laptop computers. The limbic area of your brain, which is where your personality, who you are, really emanates from. The conscious area of your brain processes 2,000 transactions per second. The limbic area processes, are you ready for this? 400 billion transactions per second. So that's the area that remembers and responds to everything you've ever seen. And there's a great author on this, if you want to write her name down. Her name is Caroline Leaf. She is a neuroscientist in South Africa, has written, her books are on Amazon. She is amazing what she has found with the human brain. Anybody that believes the human brain just happened over time, it evolved from something, it's just total ignorance of mathematics, DNA, and the structure of the brain. Your brain is so complex. One grain of sand worth of your brain contains over 100 million neurons and 1 billion synapses. So transmitters and receptors, the size of a grain of sand. And it is amazing And now we've got something that's really making a difference. In fact, my cousin has a radio show, and in Florida. In fact, I'd ask all of you to remember after this call, if you would be so kind to raise all of our NUMMI family members that are in the path of this hurricane right now. It's hitting throughout Florida, Georgia. It's going to go up the Carolina coast, North Carolina, South Carolina. It's very, very powerful. It's going to cause storm surges as high as 20 feet. And it's going to be a devastating impact. So pray for our NUMMI family members and their friends and family. And we always, anytime catastrophe comes to any part of the world, I remember, Indonesia, I used to not think about. It was way far off. We're talking dozens of years ago. And I remember when that tsunami hit on Indonesia. And I heard the numbers. I think the number was 246,000 people died in Indonesia. Might have been more than that. That might have been the early counts. And my wife and I instantly started praying for the people of Indonesia, that God would give people a way out, would protect people and heal people. We are a NUMMI family. Some people say we're the NUMMI nation. No, we're bigger than a nation. We're a family. We're in 76 countries. And but for those of you that are tuning in on the first time, let me give you a little background. My background was television. I would look for breakthrough products that could do something that nothing else in the world could do as effectively or efficiently. And then the company that I started in 1976, we would buy the rights to those products and marry them to a celebrity. We had 93 celebrities under contract by the time I retired. Big names, Academy Award winners, Emmy Award winners, Grammy Award winners, Hall of Fame athletes, Super Bowl champions, World Series champions. I mean, we had, we had Kenny Rogers, we had Cher, we had Jane Fonda was one of the Academy Awards. We had Holly Hunter. We just amazing, amazing people. That's just a few. Charlton Heston. Yeah, I love Charlton Heston because he was both Moses and Ben-Hur, and won an Academy Award for each of those movies. And he became a friend of mine and became quite a godly man as he read the book Ben-Hur in preparation for his role back in 1959. And he discovered that God was a personal God, and God was a God of love and mercy. And so anyway, we had a company, we built it. We were generating millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales a year. My partners and I started it with one other man, and then we brought in his two sons and two son-in-laws. And we were each one of us was making millions of dollars a year in personal income. Great company. We were helping the world. We were taking breakthroughs to the world. We had one product that allowed tens of thousands of people to lose weight that hadn't been able to lose weight. One man set the Guinness Book of Records. He lost 715 pounds on our product. That's Delamil. That's three of us on this call, put us all together, and that's how much he lost, maybe even four of us. And so that was a real breakthrough product. It was how to lose weight really without counting calories. And it was the first one of its kind to do that. And so lots of breakthrough products. And then in 2006, I met a medical scientist and a medical doctor. And his name was Dr. Robert H. or Robert J. Keller. And he introduced me. He had instructed at the Mayo Clinic, which is without a doubt one of the best medical institutions in the world. And he introduced me to a molecule that he said, if I ever understood the potential of this molecule, it would change my life. It would change the course of my life. I didn't believe him, but that's what he said. Well, it turns out it was true. He shared with me some clinical studies. I financed some research in developing that product further. We took it to the world, and that was quite successful. The word, of course, is glutathione. And I had never heard of that word. I didn't believe in supplements. I wonder if anybody here was like me and thought supplements really are just a waste of money. Because I thought all they did for me was turn light yellow urine into bright yellow urine. And why pay for that, right? I didn't believe. I was ignorant. Been ignorant about a lot of things during my lifetime. But Dr. Keller really persuaded me that this was different. And so I began to gradually tell off my responsibilities in my television company and gain more and more responsibilities in the search for better enhancement of glutathione. We bought a couple patents from a scientist at the University of Minnesota that were amazing breakthrough technologies in the area of glutathione enhancement. Excuse me. I came back from this European trip and quite a changed person. Number one, I came back sick, and that'll always make you think twice. But more important than that, I got stuck in a bathtub for 3.5 hours in a very hot bathroom. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to open up my lungs a little bit, and I decided to take a steam shower. So I took a steam shower for about 7 minutes. And then I think, you know what? I've got plenty of time before I have to go to my first morning meeting. I'm going to take a nice hot bath. So I filled the bathtub with hot water and got into the tub. And after about 7 minutes, sweat pouring down my face, and I'm getting hot enough that I'm starting to feel a few palpitations in my chest. I think, okay, it's time to get out. So I reach for the handle on the tub to pull myself out, and wham, comes right out. And I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out. 3.5 hours, no matter what I did, yelling help, taking this metal piece that came off and banging against the marble tile, doing everything. Couldn't. 3.5 hours. Finally, my sweet son, Ryan, came into the room from his room. The rooms weren't attached, but somebody had alerted him to something strange going on there. And your dad says he needs help. And so he came in and it's pretty humbling when you're in a tub and you don't know if you're about to have a heart attack or what. And your own son, who was quite an athlete, he was a national champion in track and field in high school and went to college on a track and field scholarship. And he couldn't lift me by one arm. He had to get behind me and pull me up, And but the good thing about that, people say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. You know why? When you're alone in a bathtub, you have time to think. You have time to think about what's most important in life. What do you really want to do with the rest of your life? I'm 76 years old. My life could end tomorrow, might go another 20 years. We don't know. But it got me thinking, and I had a nice conversation with God. I would say of the 3.5 hours, we probably conversed for maybe half an hour of that. And he was pretty clear how he wanted me, what I believe, and I can always be wrong. I don't want to be presumptuous, but how he wanted me to divide the rest of my life between business, family, ministry. My best friend in life made a statement one time. He said, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Life doesn't end at the grave, folks. It goes on. And either it has a happy going on or an unhappy going on. And the best way to make sure it's a happy one is get as close to God as you can. Not religion. I'm not saying religion. I'm saying we have a personal God that loves us so much that he's gone out of his way for thousands of years to reach us. So anyway, enough preaching. So what's this glutathione stuff? Just another molecule? No, it's just as important as oxygen. Without glutathione, there'd be no life on Earth. There'd be no trees, no plants, no fish, no birds, no butterflies. Everything would disappear within minutes. We'd have that beautiful blue oxygen atmosphere, but nothing, no life to consume it, to breathe it, and to convert it from oxygen to CO2. And those beautiful trees that convert CO2 back to oxygen, none of that would exist without this one molecule. And glutathione, one thing that makes it amazing is it's not singular in its function. It performs over 400 functions in your body, many of them critical to your life. Recently, our product has been adopted by some veterinarians for use with animals. It's not designed for animals. Our product is designed for human beings. But they've seen amazing things, and they've even carried on clinical studies. And I was talking today with one of our medical board members. By the way, can you all write this down if you haven't? Write down NUMMI Medical Advisory Board. NUMMI Medical Advisory Board. And if you search that on Google, it brings up our access to our medical advisory board. And you'll find those doctors are from Stanford. They are from the Mayo Clinic, University of Southern California, Texas Heart Institute, Baylor, Harvard, Mayo Clinic. It's amazing. And guess what makes it more amazing? They all serve on our medical board for free. They don't get paid. Now, these guys are world-class. One of our doctors, a cardiologist, has 5 offices in Houston and is regarded as one of the best cardiologists in the world. And she also has an office in Dubai where she treats the royal family of Arab Emirates. That's pretty good. That's the top of your game. That's a world champion golfer, basketball player. I mean, that's as good as it gets. The man who created the pain management program for Harvard University Medical School is on our medical board. I mean, it's amazing. One of the top heart surgeons in the world, graduated #1 out of Texas Heart Institute, the #1 cardiology or cardiovascular surgical school in the United States. And he graduated #1. He lives in the Philippines and he's on our medical board. So we have all these guys. So I was on the phone with Dr. Osorio today, who is in Europe, and he has 19 sports medicine clinics throughout Europe. They treat some of the top athletes in the world, professional athletes, world-class amateur athletes. I remember at the last marathon world championship, 2 of the top 3 runners that finished 1, 2, and 3, 2 of the top 3 were his clients. A heavyweight champion of the world, his client. It's amazing, brilliant. He's not just a medical doctor, though. This man is a scientist. And so today I was telling him about a recent clinical study that's been done, and it saw all these things happen with animals. And he said, of course, does the same thing in humans. It's just we haven't documented it. Well, folks, I'm just telling you, that's a huge statement. He said, that's why all my athletes stay on the product, is because they don't want to go without it. They don't want to train without it. They don't want to compete without it. And I doubt that there's any world-class athletes on this call. But one of our NUMMI family members, 26-year-old female athlete, just set 2 new world records at the weightlifting world championship a few weeks ago in Ireland. And guess what she did? Same thing all of our athletes do. She swished before every lift. Our athletes that do endurance events swish 5 minutes before the event and every hour of the event and immediately after the event. And the result is they see things they never imagined. Can you imagine a 62-year-old man who sets a world record? We'll show you that in a minute. But he set a world record in the bench press, lifting 40% more weight than the world record he had set 13 years earlier as a 49-year-old. How can that be? Well, it happens the same way that we see these amazing before and afters when we apply our product to the skin. And you'll see some of those in a minute. Our number one enemy in life is called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress. And sadly, it happens to every cell in your body. You have, the numbers range, but probably the safest number is 37.5 trillion cells that are living alive at any given moment in your body. And every one of them suffers from oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress, what creates oxidative stress is every cell in your body is attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day by free radicals. So we're going to show you a picture of what 20,000 looks like. If Keith can find that, I know he can, it just takes minutes. Here we go. No, that's a cell. That's 20,000 people where the Chicago Bulls play. Now, imagine if you were one person on that center court and the announcer says, okay, everybody gets $1 million who can land a blow to the guy that's standing by himself in the central court. Everybody would instantly go down to try to get their blow to collect their $1 million check. Well, that's what happens to our cells every day. Every cell is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals every day. And if it survives those attacks, guess what it wakes up to the next day? Another 10 to 20,000 attackers, and the next day, and the next day. 5 days of attacks, look at this. That's 100,000 people. That's how many free radicals attack every cell in your body every 5 days. One cell against all those free radicals. Okay, now back to me, please. So what's a free radical? By the way, I don't use a filter or anything on my camera, but at 76, my wrinkles aren't showing too bad. And it's so funny when people find out I'm 76, they said, how have you done it? I thought you were like 66 or 60. And I say, well, I have a product, but it sounds too good to be true, so nobody believes me. But anyway, every cell in your body is attacked, whether it's a skin cell, a brain cell, a heart cell, a liver cell, a kidney cell, a muscle cell, a bone cell. Your eyes aren't just a one layer of cells. It's dozens and dozens of layers. Do you know your eyes are another proof for the existence of God? Because your eyes have all these layers of cells that have to be placed just right. The right cell, then another whole different cell on top of it, and another one. And they all have to be pancaked just right, or you won't have vision. Amazing, amazing. Your brain, the most advanced computer in the world can only receive, even though it can receive 1 billion inputs per second, it can only receive one at a time. Your brain receives 2,600,000 inputs simultaneously just from your eyes every moment. And it converts these electronic codes. It converts the wavelength of the light into electronic codes. The codes register on your brain. Your brain then converts those back, sends them back to the eye, and translates all of that as vision. And we not only have Technicolor, unlike our poor little doggy friends, but we can see perspective. I mean, it's amazing. That's just the eyes. Well, every eye cell is attacked by free radicals. Free radicals are scavengers. They want to steal an electron from the cell. And when they do, that scavenging creates oxidative stress, more oxygen than the cell can produce. And that's a bad thing. You say, how can too much oxygen be bad? Have you ever seen a rusty car or a rusty piece of metal? That's just a metal that's had too much oxygen that it couldn't process. The iron couldn't process it. And of course, it rusts. And oxidative stress does a lot of damaging things, but two of the worst things it does to our cells, number one, it produces inflammation. So show them what that cell looks like, Keith. This isn't a full view of a cell. It's a microscopic to a certain degree, but you could go even greater, a greater degree of examination, and you'd see millions of other things. So all of these things aren't dead and stagnant in the cell. They're communicating, they're living, they're moving, they're using up energy, they're expending energy. The cell is creating its own energy through the mitochondria. And the mitochondria are the little motors in the cell that give it that process the energy, but the mitochondria produces its own fuel. Imagine a car that produced its own fuel. That's what your mitochondria does. So when a free radical attacks the cell, just start plopping sewage into that, or sand or mud or water. Now what happens? The function of all of these parts begins to be obstructed in a very negative way. Okay, you can come back to me. Now, how does our body combat that? We combat that with antioxidants. An antioxidant donates one of its electrons to the free radical. And when it donates that, it sequesters. That's the scientific word. We can use the word capture. It captures that and neutralizes that free radical. And of course, we've all heard of antioxidants: vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin A, superoxide dismutase, catalase, CoQ10, and on and on. The problem is there is an entire spectrum of free radicals, and each one can be sequestered by a particular antioxidant, but not by others. In other words, every antioxidant except glutathione is monofocus. So vitamin C can take out that one, but it leaves all these bad guys. Vitamin E might take out that one and leave those guys. CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase, and so on. Glutathione, this miracle molecule that's manufactured by every cell in your body, can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of their structure, regardless of their chemical composition. And it's the only one that can. And now we have free radicals that our grandparents and even our parents never had to deal with. For example, those nice 5G towers that allow you to do this, they emit a strong enough microwave that when it enters your body, and you don't even have to have one of these. All you have to do is drive by one of those antenna. And when it does that, it produces in your cells a terrible free radical called peroxynitrite. Peroxynitrite lives 1 billion times longer than any oxygen-based free radical. It's the free radical that just keeps on going and going and going. And it attacks your mitochondrial DNA. Why is that bad? Because when the DNA is broken, the cell is vulnerable and at risk to mutate and multiply. And that means that's the big cancer word. So it's critically important that we protect that mitochondrial DNA, and a little more on that in just a second. But peroxynitrite attacks that DNA. And if it breaks it down, we're in trouble. Well, the only antioxidant that can sequester and neutralize peroxynitrite is glutathione. And yet that's just the antioxidant role of glutathione. It has 399 other roles or functions. Are they little functions? No, little things like oxygen transfer. Without glutathione, there's no oxygen transfer. You'd breathe in that nice air. That feels good to get that in your lungs. And I remember as a kid, the first time that I not had the wind knocked out of me. It was a stupid thing. I hit the ground real hard. And I thought I was dying because I was breathing, but I wasn't getting any air in those lungs. Okay. Well, without glutathione, there's no oxygen transfer. Why? When your body makes hemoglobin, the red blood cell, it has the wrong electromagnetic charge. It cannot bind to the oxygen molecule. It has to be reduced to a +2. And the only reduction agent for hemoglobin is glutathione. So it reduces it, it binds to the oxygen and delivers that oxygen to the 37 trillion cells. So that's a critical function. What's another one? Well, do you know everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body right now that don't belong there? And you know what they do? Over time, they break down the mitochondrial DNA. That's the main thing that breaks down the mitochondrial DNA. Well, glutathione solves that or addresses that by, it is the detoxifying molecule of the body. It has this real sticky sulfhydryl molecule as a part of the overall molecule, and it attaches to the chemical like fly paper or those spy traps. It's real sticky. It's literally a sticky molecule, and it helps the cell get rid of the toxin. It lowers the chemical level in the cells and thereby extends the protection and prolongs the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA. So that's critical. Well, put all this, I'll give you one more because this is really critical. Boy, is this one important. I'm dealing right now, or I'm not dealing, a friend of mine's dealing with a 94-year-old. And my wife's parents are 94 and 96. And inflammation, especially in the lungs, is really bad. And the glutathione is the, it is the primary support system for your immune system. Is that cool? When you raise glutathione levels, your T cells, the assassins that target the bacteria and viruses, they reproduce much more rapidly in response to the bacterial or viral insult. On the other hand, if you have lower glutathione levels, the T cells and B cells, which are the two assassins, reproduce gradually instead of rapidly. And guess what happens? The virus or the bacteria wins. You lose. And we saw that during the pandemic. Some of us got sick. Some of us got really sick. And some died. Millions died. And their T cells just couldn't reproduce fast enough. What it comes down to. So it becomes very, very inflamed. In fact, there's a thing called the cytokine storm that takes place with COVID. This rapid inflammation within the lining of the lungs, which becomes host for pneumonia. And it's the pneumonia that killed most people. People with high glutathione levels did great. In fact, there was an article published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases in May of 2020. You can look it up. The title of the article is low levels of endogenous glutathione as the cause of severe symptoms and death in COVID-19 patients. Why? And this Russian scientist proves it. He shows the biochemistry and the chemical engineering that takes place with glutathione and the virus, really the immune system. So anyway, it's critical. Well, we knew when we developed this in 2018, the problem with glutathione is you can't get it through the stomach. You can buy glutathione capsules anywhere. Go to your health food store, buy them. You probably won't feel any different. When glutathione hits the stomach acid, the same stomach acid that destroys that capsule, that encases it, right, also destroys the glutathione. It's a real fragile molecule. Well, what we have done is come up with a way called hydrostat, where we encapsulate those molecules with water rather than a fat, a lipid, and the particle size is so tiny it absorbs right into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes inside your cheeks, and as well as in the venous cavity under your tongue. And once it's in the blood, it's very quickly distributed to the cells. It's out of the bloodstream, one scientist told us, within 70 seconds. And that was an independent scientist who works for the University of Utah. And she had been in the nano department for 20 years at the time that she told me this, and a double PhD in physics and chemistry, so pretty smart lady. Anyway, so we see results with our athletes. I knew when we first developed this, if it really was everything we thought it would be, we would see a big difference with athletes. So I gave it to one athlete one night. He called me up that night and said, Steve, this is the most incredible supplement ever. And he told me of a life-changing result he had had while he was doing his workout. His workout was very intense. He's an endurance athlete. He would spend an hour on a treadmill at a 25-degree incline. Then he would jump off that and spend an hour of intense rowing, right? And he'd been doing that for 10 years. And it completely changed. He was completely recovered from each of those cycles almost as fast as he finished them. And so that was cool. So I sent it to another athlete, Bill Gillespie. And Keith, if you could pull up that slide. We'll show him Bill. Bill was the strength and conditioning coach for a professional football team, the Seattle Seahawks. And Bill, let's see, there we go. And Bill was an amateur weightlifter since he was 14 years old. When he was 49 years old, he set the world record in the bench press. And let's go to that next slide. And you can see that at 49, he lifted 804 pounds, which is about 460 kilos. And that set a world record. Might have been a little less than on the kilo side. I have to always look it up. But then I called him in 2018. He was 59. I said, how you doing, Bill? He said, not good. He said, my lean muscle is so low and my recovery is so slow. I can only lift heavy once a week. And my bench press is down to about 720 pounds. And I said, well, that's pretty good for a 59-year-old. He said, yeah, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore because they're all pushing 800 pounds and above. And he said, Steve, a lifetime of weightlifting, the inflammation's so bad. I wake up hurting. I hurt all day. I go to bed hurting, so I don't sleep well. And you know, I work 12 to 16 hours a day training the football team and in weight training and so on. And so anyway, I sent him product. I said, Bill, I think everything's going to change. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And look at that. In the next year, his lift went from 725 to 1,050 pounds. And in the next 3 years, it went to 1,129.8 pounds. That's 512 kilos. That's the weight of a grand piano. That's 40% more weight than he lifted at the age of 49. Okay, now back to me. So when you're going down like this, which is the natural curve as you age in lean muscle, in recovery time and everything, it's all going downhill. And then boom, you turn up. How can that happen? Real easy. We're mitigating oxidative stress. That's our mortal enemy. Oxidative stress means not only less inflammation, guess what else oxidative stress does? It accelerates the aging of your cells. So do you want your face to swell more or to age more rapidly or more slowly? I vote for slowly. How about your heart? How about your brain? Huh? I'm 76. You want to test my my recall? You asked me a question, any question you want about anything Jesus said, 1,900 statements in the Gospels, and you'll get a pretty quick response, oftentimes verbatim. So recall is still high at 7. Now I got to tell you, our new neuro product's crazy. I mean, really, it's so crazy. I'm not on it regularly yet, man, because I get everything I need from NutraSwish. But I'll tell you, it does put me over. When I'm in a boring meeting, I shouldn't say boring because a lot of our meetings are boring. When I'm in a meeting at the office and I start to, after lunch, and I'm starting to go, I get up, I go, I swish neuro, go back into the meeting, and I'm like this. Okay, I'm ready for anything. And so I love it. My cousin who's on the radio, he called me the other day and he said, Steve, my station manager had come in a few weeks ago and told me about a problem he's had for years. And it is so much discomfort, he can't sleep through the night at all. And he said, George, last night I had a great sleep. Every night this week, I've been sleeping great. He said, my discomfort is gone. And he said, this is the most amazing thing. And of course, he's talking about NutraSwish. And I said, wow, George, and he told me the situation. I said, yeah, we hear that a lot with that particular situation. And then he said, and Steve, the new neuro product, he said, my gosh, he said, here I'm on talk radio and people are throwing stuff at me and I'm trying to remember facts and which page is it on. He says, I don't need the notes anymore. It all comes right to me. He said, it is amazing. So that's our new neuro product. Hope you have it in your country. If you don't, you will soon. We're proliferating. We're going to be in Europe. I think it ships October 1st to Europe. But anyway, that's what we have. One of our athletes was in an accident, messed up her face real bad, and she started using our product. This is in 2018, long before we created Numi. She takes a cotton ball and puts it on her face. The plastic surgeon in the hospital said it was going to take 5 weeks to clear, and in 5 days, perfectly clear. Plastic surgeon had never seen anything like it. I'd never seen anything like it. I've owned 5 different makeup and skincare companies. And when I saw her pictures, I thought, oh my goodness, we probably have the world's best skincare. So I'm going to give you one more assignment, little homework. Please do it. Take your tonight or this morning, if you're on the Southern Hemisphere, take your favorite cosmetic company, anyone, Estee Lauder, Neutrogena, you name it, and type in the name and then type in skincare right next to it and type in before and afters. So like Neutrogena skincare before and afters. Hit click, up will come the page, and then click on images. Click, and all of a sudden you see all these before and afters. And here's what you'll be doing. I don't care what company you go to. You go to La Prairie, where it's some of the products are $1,500 for a 3/4 ounce, right? And you're going to be like, okay, where's the change? I think nah. Oh, look, there's a red circle there. Now look at the red circle here. Yeah, I see a change. Pretty hard to see it. You're not going to have to squint, and you're definitely not going to need red circles when you see what we're going to show you right now. Keith, let's go to those, and then we'll wrap it up. I know we've gone long, but this is my first week back in about 4 weeks, so we're entitled, right? Okay, this was Sherry. She was our first before and after. Now, she was 59 years old at the time, and that was after spraying her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. Now, I sent that to my former formulator, who had become the head formulator for the company that created Botox. He called me right away and he said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. Look at the lift in her eyes. You can't do that with a topical. Look at how bright her skin is. Look at how smooth. Where did the wrinkles go? Steve, she's had a facelift. I said, John, no, she has not. She owns a farm, works on a farm, lives on a farm. And that's her before and after. Well, now that we've been around for a few years, we have lots of before and afters because we put it into a spray. These were my hands in 2019. I was 71 years old. I sprayed my right hand for 12 weeks. I didn't spray my left hand. Can you see the difference? Yeah, one looks like a 71-year-old. The other looks like maybe a 30-year-old. Next. Oh, there. Okay, we're going to get there. There we go. I love this lady. She's 84 last year, so she'd be 85 this year. That was 4 weeks. We asked her, how many times a day did you spray? She said, oh, I couldn't keep count. I had spray bottles of the product all over the house, and every time I passed one, I sprayed. Well, 4 weeks. Look at her chin. Look at her mouth. Look at her neck. I mean, there's nothing in the world that does that, folks. You do not need to squint, and you do not need red circles to show you what happened. Next. Okay, this is another 84-year-old. This is the mother of somebody I was just with at one of our meetings. I think it was in France. And that was her mother, sprayed her legs for 10 weeks. And they went from looking like the legs of an 84-year-old to the legs of a 30 or 25-year-old. Crazy. Next. This is a 32-year-old. That was 8 days. She's an esthetician, a skincare specialist, owns her own skincare salon in Florida. And she said, I couldn't wait 8 weeks. She said, where did my pores go? Look at how smooth. Look at the brightness. Look how it opened up my eyes. Now, these are words you should write down. Brighter, tighter, smoother, younger looking, because that's what we always see. Let's look again. By the way, some of the ones I've received from Indonesia lately have blown me away. Of course, they all do, but Indonesia, wow, keep it coming. Next. Okay, this was after 1 month. This lady was 60 years old. Kind of looks a little bit like the facelift that it looked like with Sherry, but look at what happened after 6 months. Boom, looks like she's 35 or 40 years old. Next, look at just her neck. Okay, that is in 8 months, or I'm sorry, 6 months, but what a difference. You see, it doesn't stop getting better. People say, do I need to use it every day? Yeah, because you need to breathe oxygen every day. You need to drink water every day. Glutathione is just as important as oxygen and water. So yes, every day. This guy's 67. Look at that, 6 weeks. I mean, just look, brighter, tighter, younger looking, amazing. Next. Okay, now that's a little dehydration. This one is what I want to go to. She's young, no skin care problem. You can see she's got a little bit of oily skin, uneven skin tone, but her skin is pretty clear. Look at what happened after 10 days. I mean, peaches and cream. Looks like she has perfectly even skin tone. Do you know I owned makeup companies? That's the look we went for with makeup. We call it the no makeup makeup. We wanted it just to look like beautiful peaches and cream skin. That's what happened with her in 10 days. Next. Okay, this was in 3 weeks. She's 80 years old. That was Sherry Warner's mother. She sprayed 5 times a day, and oh my goodness, she was shocked, like all of us were. Next. Okay, this woman, I think, is in her 60s. She had been a smoker, which is real damaging to the skin. Look at what it did in 8 weeks. Next. By the way, did you know one puff on a cigarette puts 1 trillion free radicals into your bloodstream and body, your lungs, instantly? That's a lot. Next. She's in Nigeria. She's the mother of a physician. The physician asked one of our Numi family members, "What are you doing to your face? You look so much younger." She says, "I'm using this." She said, "Can I have some for my mom?" Which usually means, "Can I have some for me?" But in this case, she gave it to her mom. Look at the difference in 4 weeks. I mean, that's just crazy. Next. That was in Australia where they have a lot of sun damage, 6 weeks. Next. Now, this guy's 94, and he had been using both products, swishing and spraying, for 8 months. And I loved what he said, because that's kind of what I want to do. He said, "Better than how I look is how I feel. And I feel like the guy on the right, not the guy on the left." Now, I'm 76. Ryan, when he was about 12 years old, said I needed to live to 94. I said, "Why?" And then he recited how old all my kids would be. And he said, "Hallie would still be a little bit young, our youngest, but Dad, I'll take care of her." And so 94. One puff of cigarette, somebody's asking me, 1 trillion free radicals. Remember what the free radicals do. They're scavengers. They're stealing electrons from your cells. That's why, I mean, we all need our products, but a smoker needs it more than anybody. Smokers and athletes. Now, many of you are saying, I'm not an athlete. Hey, you know what? You have to perform every day. Every day you wake up and people have expectations of you. They have needs that only you can fulfill, whether it be your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your employer. We all have to perform. And our products are not just about a longer life, a healthier life, a happier life. It's about a better performance, and people say, "Gee, you're getting up there. How could you do 3 countries in 4 days?" And the time zone switch. That wasn't the problem. The problem was I picked up a cold while I was there, and I paid for it when I got home. That and my bathtub experience. But man, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. You know what else that bathtub, let me just tell you one thing. Proverbs, which most of you know, changed my business life, took me from being a chronic failure to a multimillionaire in 2.5 years. Well, Proverbs, the writer of Proverbs was a man named Solomon. He also wrote the book of Ecclesiastes. And in Ecclesiastes, I can't remember the chapter. I could look it up. Keith, you could look it up while I'm talking. But there's a verse that says, 2 are better than 1. For if one falls into a ditch, the other is still standing to lift him out. I teach on effective partnering, the most powerful strategy I teach on. What I love about Numi, everybody has an upline, everybody becomes a mentor to their downline, and we all have sideline family members that care about us. And partnering, nobody in history, not one person in history has achieved anything significant without effective partnering. You say, what about Jesus Christ? Well, he partnered with the Father and the Holy Spirit and his disciples. So yes, even Christ was able to reach the world. Oh, okay, go ahead, Keith. Open up your mic and tell us where that is.
I believe it's in chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, it looks like.
Okay, Ecclesiastes 2, 1 through 11, it talks about to the value. It says when one is by themselves in a cold night, they're freezing. But if they have a second, they generate heat and both survive. Partnering is everything. And you all are our partners. We treat you with honor and respect as partners. Do we have problems? Yeah, of course we do. Have you ever met a family that didn't have problems? We all have problems. We all have weaknesses. We all have needs. We all make mistakes, but you know what? That's what a family does. They learn how to forgive and how to compliment one another. And that's the key of partnering, is it allows us to, when one is weak, where would I have been? I'd still be in that bathtub if Ryan hadn't come along and lifted me out. So we actually duplicated that. We got on stage in Hungary in front of 800 people. And I laid down on the stage and started yelling, help, help, Ryan, come up and show them what you did. And I told him the story. And Ryan comes, and it doesn't take a little strength to lift 200 pounds of dead weight. And that's what I was, dead weight, because of the heat, I had no strength at all, zero. But he put his arms under my arms, his hands under my arms, and he deadlifted 200 pounds of dead weight. And I was set free, folks. That's the value of effective partnering. That's why we're dependent on you. We're not out with advertising and marketing campaigns to reach the world. We're going door to door, house to house, family to family. And guess what? You're the key. And we love you. We honor you. We pray for you, and we hope you pray for us. And with that, Keith, I'm going to turn it back to you. And folks, I'll be back next Thursday. So let's get as many as we had a pretty good turnout this time. We reached, I think, 74. We've lost about 6 of those people. People have to go to work and stuff. We understand. Not a problem at all, but let's shoot for a better number now that you know it's going to happen next week. And we'll be having our European call. Keith, when is that? What day and what time?
I'm not 100% on that, Steve.
On Wednesdays. It's at noon Mountain Time.
Noon Mountain Time.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're all invited to that call as well. So have a great week. Please pray for our folks that are in the path of this hurricane, for their protection. We all need help, and there's a lot of people that are going to need help in the next few days. So thank you. And when your area of the world needs help, we'll be there praying for you as well. So God bless you all, and thank you for joining us tonight. Keith, back to you.
What a great night. You see, I was expecting it. I hope each and every one of you guys expected it as well. Steve always delivers next level. If you watch this, if you're here for the first time on a technology call, make sure you get back with the person or persons who invited you here tonight. Get any additional questions you have answered, but most importantly, you want to get this or this or this, and maybe even this. Get it into your body, because like mine, I know your life is about to change. We'll see y'all next week. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.